It's an utter disaster for a woman's stress response when a man doesn't make her feel chosen and cherished. And I'm going to give you guys some language to use today that's going to help you send the message to your wife, to your girlfriend, to your fiance, that she is the only one in the center of your mind, the only woman that occupies real estate, lives rent-free in your mind on a day-to-day basis. The reason why this is so important is because a woman that doesn't feel chosen and cherished doesn't walk around with a strong sense of security. Her nervous system will be completely out of whack. She'll be the one in that group of friends who's always looking over her shoulder, wondering what's happening. She's frazzled. She just doesn't have her stuff together because you haven't helped her feel safe and secure. That is the whole point of this video, is I want to give you guys that language. It's going to remind her on that day-to-day basis that she has nothing to worry about in this life. She can be the best mom she wants to be. She can go and work if she wants to work. Whatever life choices that she makes, you have her front and center. And that message that you send her is going to be the one that allows her to walk around without a care in the world. My wife, after 17 years, among all of her friends, among virtually any woman on the planet, I would argue, walks around with a sense of security. She doesn't even think about anything anymore, whether it's about money, whether it's about loyalty, whether it's about honesty, whether it's about how we raise our children. She just walks around with this strong sense of knowing that I've got her back all the time. And that comes from the conscious choice I've made in my life to make it so that she was that one that walked around in that group of friends of hers feeling like she had not a care in the world. And that, to me, is the ultimate flex that a man can have. Having a wife walk around where she just doesn't have to worry. Her nervous system is completely calm. Maybe, if my wife forgets something, she forgot to drop a book off the other day with my daughter, whatever it is, those things are going to happen. But on that day-to-day basis, she never has to second guess where her husband's loyalty is. She never has to second guess whether he's chatting with coworkers, if he's planning to go out for drinks with people that she doesn't feel comfortable with. Because, the reality is that how you behave as a husband, as a boyfriend, as a fiance, whatever your relationship status is, how you behave sends a message to her, one that you want her to receive, or it's going to send the message that you don't want her to receive. Now, what I always say, and this is really important, use this language. When someone doesn't get the message that they want to receive on a day-to-day basis, they do what I call filling in their own blank. Now, filling in the blank of someone's story is when, they're not told what you're doing. They're not told how you feel about them on a day-to-day basis. They're not asked when they get home from work, how was your day? Tell me something interesting that happened. They're not made to think that they've got a co-parent, a co-pilot in this, this life stage of raising young kids. Whatever it is, you don't take an interest in her life. You don't let her know on a day-to-day basis that she lives rent-free in your mind, that you're thinking about her all the time. When that happens, when you forget to send that message, she fills in the blank. And the blank that she's going to fill in her life story about herself is that he's not interested. I'm not important. And I can't tell you how many times I work with couples when if I could just get the husband, the boyfriend, the fiance, whatever it is, just to send the message to her on a day-to-day basis, you're important. I'm thinking about you all the time. I feel like if I could just get a guy to do that, I'd 90% of my work would be done. I even tell my clients, figuratively, tattoo it on your forearm. How can I remind her that I'm thinking about her today? How can I remind her that she's important? This is the language that you want to be asking yourself. Now, you don't even have to have an answer for that question. How can I remind her that she's important today? I just want you to wake up and remind yourself to ask yourself that question, because when you do, you're going to be focusing on how to cultivate the answer. So maybe 2:00, you came back from lunch, you're working a little bit, and you're taking a break in the afternoon. And maybe you look down on that tattoo that you've written on your arm and you've said, how do I remind her that I'm thinking of her? Well, then maybe that's going to prompt you to send her a message. Maybe that's going to say, I can't wait to get home tonight. Looking forward to cooking dinner with you. It's the little things that women want to receive from us, the little things that we do for them that send that all-important message. The risk and reward is so out of proportion. So just by letting her know that you're thinking of her sends this profound message to her that she's important, that she's loved, that she's chosen and cherished. And it all stems from that simple question: how can I remind her that she's important to me? If there was anything, and going back to that, if there was any question or any concept that I would want you to remember at the end of this video, is just to walk around with a greater sense of curiosity for who she is, for what she's doing on the day-to-day basis, where she's going, what food she likes. Tell me about your day. Tell me anything that happened with the kids today. I'd love to hear it. Hey, what do you think about summer camp coming up? Should we put them in for 2 weeks? Should we put them in for a month? What about the cottage? What weekends do you have planned for that? Or what were you thinking? All of this is taking an interest in her life. And all of this is going to send a profound message that outside of your work and the things that you do, your work and your hobbies, and maybe your friends and your buddies that you get together with, when you come home, she is the one you're thinking about. And maybe it's not even when you're home. You could be sending these messages to her via text message. You could say, hey, sweetheart, I was just scrolling Instagram and someone was talking about some summer camps, and or I saw another famous Instagrammer that said, let our kids be bored this summer. Can you remind her, can you just say something like, hey, I came across something interesting that said we should let our kids be bored this summer so they can, get creative and start, letting their own creative juices flow. These little messages that you send her on this day-to-day basis, tell her that she's not alone. Tell her that she's important to you. Tell her that she's chosen and cherished. And it all stems from that simple phrase, that simple question: how can I send her the message that she's important to me? How can I send her the message that she's living rent-free all the time in my mind and that there's no one else? For another video, I'll save the topic of women friends, friends of the opposite sex, going out, texting, liking, following, all that other sketchy stuff that happens on social media and on our phones. Obviously, when you engage in any of that stuff, you're sending her the exact opposite message. What you're sending her is all these other women capture my attention, and therefore you don't. And if you don't capture my attention, she's going to fill in that blank. And what is the blank that she's going to fill in? I'm not important to him. And think of how tremendously hurtful and sad that must be for her to think, to walk around amongst her group of friends when they go out for drinks one night. Maybe they're going to Starbucks, maybe they go for a walk, and she's that woman wondering, am I important to my own husband? You don't want that. Trust me. And you know what? So many guys and gals that I work with come to me, and a guy will tell me either whether he's going to DM me or they'll be in session, and he'll neglect her for years and years and think, you know what? I don't need her. She's not important. My life is important. Maybe it's this other woman that's important. But then when she finally pulls away and she slams the door shut and says, you know what? After all these years of not being made important to him, he never cared about how I was raising the kids. He made me plan my own date nights. He never, sent me messages. He never showed me that I was important to him. When a woman slams that door and the man thinks, you know what, I'm going to reopen that again, it is so hard to get that woman to open that door when she's been so emotionally hurt, emotionally neglected for so many years, that when she finally closes that door, my work as your couples therapist, I think the success rate is maybe in 1 in 100. It's very hard to get her back when she's in her mind, close the door on continuing that relationship with you. So go back to remembering to use that curiosity. How can I let her know that she's the most important woman in the world to me right now? How can I let her know that she lives in my mind all day, every day? These are the messages that I can guarantee you, if you were to ask my wife, she walks around knowing she doesn't need to fill in any blank because I do that for her. I send her those DMs. I call her. I buy her flowers. I remind her on a day-to-day basis that of all the women on the planet, she's the one I choose and she's the one that I want to cherish. And you could rewind the clock back 17 years and I'm picking the exact same woman. So that's the video for today. I wanted to share that to the guys because I think it's an important topic. Obviously, I don't want you to get to the point where you need me This is why I create these videos. So if this was helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe to this video, smash that like button. It really helps out with the algorithm. And come and follow me over on Instagram at Couples Therapy with Jonathan. You can DM me. You can ask any question you need about your relationship, about what to do, how to save it, anything that comes to mind. I answer every single one of my DMs. So do not hesitate. It doesn't cost you anything, and you're connecting directly with me. Thank you guys so much. You are the reason why I make these videos. It brings me a ton of joy. I don't work a day in my life because I get to do this with you guys right here. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.